Hey everybody, welcome to the first video in a hopefully what's going to be a long series about ground reaction forces, how we use them, how they help us construct golf swings, how it helps us relate to speed. Today we're going to focus on horizontal force. So that's our force moving along the target line, kind of towards and away from the target. I'm going to walk you through some examples, some ideas on how we can create these forces, how we can train them, how we can identify them. I hope you enjoy it, and if you've got any questions, please feel free to ask them in the comments, send me a DM. I'm more than happy to kind of help out with the understanding and maybe how you can apply them at home. I hope you enjoy it. Take care.
Okay, so let's start with a player that a lot of you guys might be familiar with. Here we have Beau Hossler. So Beau is pretty reliant on horizontal force, as we can see here in relation to PGA Tour average. He is near the top end of average from this combined horizontal force. The top graph here is going to be the combined horizontal force that he's doing. So this will be the, at each spot here, it'll be the differential between what the lead foot and trail foot is doing. So here you can see it's 4%. He's doing 9% of his body weight with his lead foot and 5% in the opposite direction with his trail, which leaves us with a differential of 4%. That's how combined forces work. We take a look at the lead foot, the lead foot here, trail foot here, and we are left with the difference, which is this combined graph. Sometimes they will be going in the same direction, but very, very rarely during the golf swing, at least in the horizontal movement. So what we see here is a push from the lead foot at 9% of his body weight. Now, what direction is he pushing? He's pushing over here. And this relates to the very, very idea of ground reaction, right? So when we push in one direction, our body typically moves the other way. So with Beau here, we're going to see 4% of his body weight pushing in this direction. Now, he's actually pushing 9% this way with his lead foot and 5% this way with his trail foot. Okay, so that's why we get to 4%. From there, it starts to cross into this positive or on top of this zero line graph. So when he's here now, he's got 2%. So now he's doing more with his trail foot or more with his lead foot than he is with his trail foot. Okay, by about 2%. You'll see some rounding errors occur here a couple times, but we're back up 12% trail foot, 8% lead foot, so 4% more now pushing the ground over here. Okay, so now there's no push in this direction or no push from a totality of it. There's more coming from trail than lead. So now he's just pushing the ground over here with 4% of his body weight. That goes up to about a high of 14 here. Then it starts to dwindle again as he approaches the top. Then all of a sudden he starts to ramp that back up, 9, 10, 11, 12, all the way up to a high of 21% right here. Now, I would argue that this is a relatively late application of this horizontal force. So this is the hardest he's pushing off the trail foot. We can see the trail is doing 30% of his body weight. The lead is still pushing a little bit this way with 9%. That differential is 21. So he's pushing really hard off trail. That to me is a little bit too late, and when I say too late, it's because I would always like this downward part of our graph to peak around here, somewhere between kind of shaft parallel and just before impact. And as you can see, he's not quite getting there. That peak occurs after impact. We kind of refer to this as a braking force, so he's pushing the ground this way with 24% of his body weight. And you can see he's actually pushing the ground that direction with his trail foot too, which is pretty difficult to do. But the totality is 24% of his body weight. So this horizontal force is always acting either this way or this way. When we see that motion, a lot of players, I think, try to get a lot of body movement to create horizontal force. So if I just draw a line up from kind of the outside of his ankle on both feet here, you're going to see that Beau stays within that. I see a lot of recreational players will start to get their trunk moving way over this way or their quad moving kind of outside this line. That is not a signal that a player is creating a lot of horizontal force. It may be misapplied. We might see some kind of funky pressure patterns and some different kind of stuff, but high levels of horizontal force act still within kind of this small box. We don't want to see players pushing way outside either direction. Okay, so that is kind of a simple way to look at horizontal force. It's pushing the ground in this direction or in this direction, and the reaction of the ground is to push us back in either this direction or this direction. So when I apply a force over here, my body is going to try to move this way. When I apply a force over here, my body is going to try to move this way. Okay. If you've ever been on skates, you will know that when you're skating, say to your right, we take our right skate and we put it into the ice and stop our momentum, but we're pushing towards the direction that we were going. And that's this part of the graph here. So let's talk about kind of how to train those things next. So here I am using the force pedals underneath the trail foot, and I'm pushing that force pedal away from the target line, as you can see there. I'm pushing off that trail foot towards the target, and that pedal will go away from me. And here you'll see the opposite. I'm pushing the ground with my left foot towards the target, so the pedal goes out from underneath my foot. So here I am doing some skater jumps, just back and forth towards and away. Here I have a kettlebell doing trail foot horizontal, so I'm swinging in my backswing. Lead foot horizontal, I'm swinging in my follow through. I'm bracing the ground in each of these directions, and then I add some swing to it.
So now let's talk about what we see when we see a player who creates a lot of trail foot horizontal force without a matching braking force.
Here we have a player whose force, their horizontal force in their backswing, by the time they get to impact, they were 13% trail, or 13% kind of pushing the ground over here, and by impact they were only 3% pushing in this direction. So a little bit too much trail, not nearly enough lead, or not enough lead at the right time. They eventually got the brake applied, but just kind of late. Over here, we see them get to 19% prior to impact. Okay, we see ball speed go up. We see flight go a lot further, 173 to 182. Similar shape, a little bit straighter over here. And that brake is acting as a way to turn their body. So here we see this guy really kind of closed out or pretty square to target. Here we start to see the hammy, the calf, the glute, the whole left side of his body, creating a lot better impact dynamics here. Okay, so that brake helps create some torque. We call braking force like a tilting torque. It tends to make our left shoulder go up and back, helping us turn the corner a little bit better. So here was, guy at impact was 1%, and now we are at 16% with a high of 19 prior. Golf swing looks a whole lot better. Impact position looks a whole lot better. All because he was just kind of misapplying that brake. So we have to complement high levels of activity in our backswing, high levels of horizontal force, with a high level of horizontal force going the other direction. Okay, that's a really big concept for most people, and normally we're just taught to kind of push off the trail foot towards our lead, but nobody really ever talks about pushing that lead foot into the ground to stop the body's momentum. Some people do it naturally, some people need to be coached. So if you're seeing yourself maybe not in the best impact location, give these kind of drills a try and see if it helps square some things away.
Hey, if you've made it this far, thanks so much for watching the whole video. I hope you learned some stuff about these horizontal forces. If you do have an opportunity to get on a swing cat, whether it's mine or somebody else's, I absolutely think you should. You can learn a ton of stuff about your golf swing via the technology. And if you don't have the opportunity to do that, try to apply some of these drills into your training and see kind of what happens. If things get better, keep going. And if things don't quite get to where you want them, hopefully we'll get some other videos out there about torque and vertical forces, and maybe that'll be the ticket for you. Okay, take care.